Hey Alberto, how you doing?
Good, and you?
I'm good, thank you. I watched Gatlopp the other day and I laughed my butt off. It was such a great, funny movie, and I like the little concept of the film as well.
Oh, thank you. So happy to hear that.
So, how did you get involved with the project?
Um, Mahoney, who's the writer, also stars in it. We are friends for a long time. We did together a short film that went viral that it was called "It's Not Porn, It's HBO" that changed our careers. And then since then, we wanted to work together. And one time, we were just catching up for coffee, and he was telling me he just had this crazy drinking game night with his friends, and he thought it was a concept that he could, write a feature about, putting it maybe with Jumanji or something like that. And I was like, oh my god, that's a brilliant idea. Let's do this. And then so together, he wrote it for like about a year, and then when it was done, I got lucky that I was still involved as a director of the movie. So that's kind of like the story of it.
That's awesome. Is this your first movie as a director, or you've done other stuff before?
It's my first movie, but I had done commercials and TV shows before.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
first.
Well, like I say, it was a heck of a feature film debut. Like I said, I love board games. I loved like Jumanji, and I like the whole concept of it being like related to like a gateway to hell of some sort. So that's what I really liked about it.
Thank you so much.
So
Um,
what was it like working with Jim and the rest of the cast?
it was super fun. It was. I got really lucky that somehow the cast had like natural chemistry. Like they just the first time they met each other on set, they were friends forever. And it was also during the at the beginning of the pandemic, so it was very we didn't know what to expect, so we were very everyone was like a little nervous, and but it was easy to work with them because they just got along so well. And Gene, being my friend and also the writer, like it was really fun to have him on set so we could collaborate and then improve, either what's on the script or like make sure that we stick to the script because it's an important element for the story. So it was a really fun collaboration.
That's lucky. I mean, and see, that's what I really like. The ensemble cast has to work together, even if they never worked with each other before. And you rarely get that. You sometimes get an ensemble cast that don't mesh well. But you know, in this case, these four did an amazing job on the film, and they just brought that natural chemistry together of making each other laugh, or going through everything. The aerobic scene was probably one of the most funniest scenes I've seen in a long time. Because I thought of as because it was just a few weeks ago, one of my coworkers showed me this old like '80s aerobics clip, and it just had me cracking up with the music. And when I saw that scene in Gatlopp where they did something like that, it flashed me back to that moment, and I was in tears by the by the end of that scene.
So having the here, like it was so funny to shoot. To be honest, like it was like, and it was probably one of my favorite scenes of the movie that I was like, have to stay because we've been in that house for a long time during the movie, so it was like we have to have some break. And I feel that was like kind of like the perfect break. And for sure, we're inspired by all those like ridiculous YouTube videos that of jazzercise. Like I cannot believe that was a real thing back in the 80s.
I know, exactly. I think it was, the video I saw was like the Crystal Light Championships. I'm like, this really happened in the '80s. I'm like, and I grew up in the '80s, so I'm like, oh my gosh, how can I not remember this? But it was just so funny seeing that one scene, and then it was, and what I really liked was that it had the horror theme, but it wasn't too graphic, except for when Clive gets the arrow to the leg. But that's pretty much all I can remember in terms of the graphic. So it's very subtle, and that's what I really liked about the film as well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
So how long did shooting take, and what difficulties, if any, did you face during production?
Um, we shot for in theory it was supposed to be a 15 day, so talking about challenges, and then we got a false positive COVID case the second day, and because it was like in the movie, we basically lost a day and a half, trying to recuperate after that false positive. So it was shot probably 13 and a half days. So for sure, that was the biggest challenge. Like, you're excited, it's your first movie, and on the second day, you're like, oh no, it probably is not going to happen because it seems someone got COVID. But we were very lucky that in the end, it was just a false positive.
Oh, thank God.
And then the challenge is like, I think besides the obvious of the COVID, and there was like the first time, production were going back into reality again and all that stuff. I guess it was more about, how would I say, like, I mean, it was an indie, so there's always those challenges of like being understaffed or the need of that, but like I think everyone worked really, really hard to and pour their hearts into the movie to make sure that it felt like bigger than it actually was.
That's great. And I gotta say, I want to ask you this because I know you said you worked in commercials. What this was your first feature film? What was what was like overall? It seems like you had a great experience, and thank God you did because I would love to see more of your work. So are you happy with what came out at the end?
Yeah, yeah, I'm super happy. I think we set up to make a movie that is actually on screen. I didn't feel, and the producers, sometimes you hear horror stories about when you're editing, the producers ruin the movie or whatever. Like, I
Yep.
think we got really that we have the producers very supportive and they knew that what we were doing. And I'm actually working right now. I just finished shooting a movie for Disney. It's like a Christmas movie for Disney Plus. So it's like going to be a heist, very different from this, but still about friendship and action adventure that comes out soon.
Okay. Now that you mentioned Disney Plus, I'm definitely gonna look out for it. So that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, man, this is a great film, and I'm hoping people will get to see Gatlopp when it comes out on June 16th. They're gonna have a great time with this, and for someone, especially people who love board games, I'm definitely gonna. I work in a library. I work with people who love board games. I'm gonna recommend this movie to them because they need to see this. Like, what if this was actually happening during a board game? And I gotta recommend this movie. I'm definitely gonna plug this to some of my coworkers. They need to see this movie, hands down.
Amazing. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Because I hopefully like it's gonna be a word of mouth movie. So I appreciate you initiating that. I'm so happy you had a good time.
I did, and I'm hoping everyone else does too. And Alberto, thank you so much for taking the time, and I can't wait to see what comes from you next.
Thank you, Albert.
All right, you take care.
You too.
All right,
Bye-bye.
bye bye.